Live from the WLOX News Now studio, this is the 4 o'clock show.
Cities across the coast are remembering the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. Welcome to the 4 o'clock show. I'm Hugh Keaton. City and state leaders coming together for different events across the coast. In Biloxi, locals packing the visitor center for a day of prayers for the victims, survivors, and first responders. Collections of before and after photos were spread out showing the city's recovery. The event was closed out by a group of Biloxi fire recruits reading the names of Mississippians who died from the storm. Governor Tate Reeves and former Governor Haley Barbour placing a wreath in remembrance of the victims of Hurricane Katrina. As part of the commemoration ceremony in Gulfport, Reeves and Barbour were joined in speaking to the crowd at the Barksdale Pavilion by U.S. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. All of the speakers brought attention to the coast's resilience. Former Governor Barbour showed his emotion when talking about the recovery.
It is a wonderful event for a wonderful outcome of what 20 years ago today I had no dream of how we could get to where we are now. And I remember fondly a lot of the decisions that were made and a lot of the people that helped. But I really believe it did more to improve Mississippi's image in the country than anything else that's happened in my lifetime.
The ceremony finished with country music star and school children, that's Steve Azar, and school children singing the state's official song, One Mississippi. Taking a look outside now, it's been a cloudy day. We've seen off and on light rain across the coast. And for the latest on our forecast heading into the weekend, here is meteorologist Aaron Colby.
Well, good afternoon. We have seen a couple light showers, a few thunderstorms here and there, but let's take a look at the big picture here. This is upstairs in the atmosphere, looking down at water vapor, and you can see our low pressure and high pressure a little bit further apart than they were yesterday. Jet stream right in between the two, and you can see evidence of that disturbance we were tracking yesterday has now pushed itself offshore with a little bit of help from a cold front. Let's go a little bit further down into the atmosphere. You can see that a little bit better. That front has stalled out just off the coast. You can see that disturbed weather out there with lots of showers and thunderstorms over portions of Louisiana. Lots of light rain slowly moving across Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. And back behind it, we have another cold front. Now, this one not quite going to make it all the way to us, but as we were sandwiched there in between the two fronts, well, we're going to keep that very unsettled weather as we go over the next couple of days. Satellite and radar across the area right now. A couple more light showers still moving across the area. Parts of Biloxi, central Harrison County there. Maybe a few light showers a little bit further inland as well. Northern Jackson getting a couple as well. And well, as we go over the next several hours, that may continue. You can see here on Futurecast going into the overnight hours, the potential for at least a few more showers as this stalled frontal boundary continues to very slowly move a little bit further from the coast with a little bit of help from that cold front back behind it. Early tomorrow morning, we could pick up some more showers and storms, kind of like we did yesterday. This is 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, notice most of these right on the coast or offshore. That's centered very close to where that stationary front will be. And that's why most of the activity should remain right on the coast or offshore. So if you do have plans to be out on the water early tomorrow morning, may want to be dodging some of those heavier showers and thunderstorms that Futurecast is depicting here. Let's go into the afternoon hours as we keep on moving now going into Labor Day weekend. This is Saturday afternoon, looks a little bit drier, but still the potential for those cloudy skies, a couple hit or miss showers, very similar to what we're seeing out there right now. And as we continue to move more into Saturday evening, maybe a couple more showers. Once again, very similar to what we have out there right now. And the good news is that that keeps those temperatures just a little bit lower. Labor Day weekend as a whole, look at that, all 3 days temperatures right around those mid 80s. Some of us maybe even a little bit lower if we get more of those showers, or on the other hand, if some of us get a little bit of sunshine, maybe we can see those jump just a little bit higher. Overall, rain chances will start to fall as we head into that later half of the Labor Day weekend. Heading into next week, though, temperatures are going to stay fairly low, of course, because of that sandwiching effect in between those two fronts. We're going to keep that slightly drier air nearby and the potential for those lower temperatures to stick around for quite a few days. Out in the tropics, well, not much going on, which is great news. Now we just have one area, low chance of development there, and it is very far away. The tropical wave still hasn't moved off the coast of Africa yet. So if this even becomes a threat to the U.S., it would be more than 10 to 15 days away. And once again, still a very low chance of development at all over the next 7 days. And here's a quick look at that 7-day forecast.
State leaders have gathered across the coast for ceremonies marking the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. Earlier today, I spoke with Governor Tate Reeves, Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, and U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith about the importance of remembering the storm's impacts.
Well, it's really important to me to host this ceremony and to highlight the leadership of Governor Barbour, which we all recognize and appreciate and respect, but also to highlight the people of Mississippi, and not only because of recovery, but also the people of America because of what they did for us. Everyone down here knows the amount of volunteers that came to our state that were here for us in our time of need, and I'm proud of what's happened down here. I mean, this is one of the most beautiful places on earth, but it's one of the greatest places on earth, and it's not just because of the beauty, it's because of our people. And so we're so blessed here on the Gulf Coast, and to celebrate this, to memorialize the 238 people that we lost, but also to celebrate the recovery and celebrate where we are 20 years from now, and know we've got still more to do, but it's really it's a special time.
When you look around at what the coast is today and how this ceremony sort of brought everything together, how did it make you feel?
You know, I think generous people comes to mind. When I drove trucks down here with food and baby diapers and stuff, I quite frankly was worried this would never come back. And these people built back, and it wasn't just for themselves. They built back so their children could have the same experiences they did growing up. And they just never quit. And now it is booming. I know it is one of the largest growth places we got in Mississippi, is right up here.
It was pretty tough to relive 20 years ago. And, you know, just the 238 lives lost and the devastation in lives that were turned upside down. But today was a good day that we could look back, we could celebrate, but we could remember, because we never need to forget that. And I know we have storms ahead of us, but the things we've learned from the leadership, especially from Governor Haley Barbour, was immense. And, you know, we just take that and we go forward.
Katrina can be called the storm that changed everything. Next, how meteorologists can now use the lessons from 20 years ago in forecasting today.
You're watching the news for South Mississippi. This is the 4 o'clock show.
Coming up tonight at 6 o'clock here on WLOX, we will take a close look back at the lasting impacts of Hurricane Katrina with our 1-hour documentary K20, The Storm That Changed Everything. Joining us now with a closer look at some of the topics we'll be talking about in that special show later today, Chief Meteorologist Eric Johnson. Thanks for coming on set with us. And basically everyone in the newsroom sort of took on a topic for this documentary to talk about. And you spoke with former Chief Meteorologist Eric Johnson, Mike Reeder, who was the Chief Meteorologist here for a number of years, about the experience of forecasting and during the storm.
Yeah, that's right. So of course, 20 years ago, Hurricane Katrina hitting South Mississippi, but in the newsroom, things had to keep going, and in the Weather Center, things had to keep going. When we sat down with Mike Reeder and just kind of talking about you know, how do you get that word out to everyone that this massive storm is coming? And so you just kind of told me about, you know, how forecasting was back then and how it is now. But, you know, overall, a lot has changed, but a lot of things are similar. Of course, while the storm was happening, the building was also falling apart. You know, they're losing the roof, they're losing the power to things. But in that video there, it just so happened that that guy kneeling down, he was here training everyone that week on some new radar software here at the station. And it just so happened he got trapped for the storm, so he had to ride out Katrina here in South Mississippi in WLOX. So he was the only person who was able to get internet access during the storm, and they were able to pull up that laptop with the radar, and that's how they were able to get information out during the storm.
Right, and they were just showing the camera shot of that, the radar there. And there you see that was the WLOX newsroom right after the storm came through. Big parts of the roof came off, and right now most of the people who were working here during the storm, they're no longer working here at WLOX. It's sort of a new generation has come through. Both of us are new or since Katrina. And Eric, what do you think is different today? If we had a storm of the magnitude of Katrina was coming our way, what would be different as far as the forecasting goes?
Well, there's been a lot that has changed in forecasting technology, and the forecast tracks have gotten better. Modeling has gotten better, but one of the big lessons from Katrina was that messaging on storm surge. And what we've seen over the last few years with some of the storms that have sort of sideswiped us is we have now what did not exist in 2005 or storm surge watches and warnings. And those storm surge watches and warnings are sort of a product of Katrina, where we're putting more emphasis on one of the deadliest aspects of a hurricane, which is the storm surge. So that is something that came from Katrina, and the overall messaging that, you know, every storm is different, and Katrina was always sort of, or Camille was always the benchmark storm. You kind of go back to Katrina now, but the lesson from that entire scenario is basically you can't compare all the storms. They're all different, and so you always got to stay prepared. Yeah, and all of our structures that have been built along the waterline here in South Mississippi since Katrina have been built higher and to a higher standard, and that we might say will likely play an impact as far as damage going forward, that even in Katrina, had we seen that, there probably would not have been as much damage had we had the same standards as today. That is correct. So, you know, building codes are definitely something that have to be reconsidered whenever you're rebuilding after a major storm surge event like Katrina, and hopefully the things that are put into place now will mitigate some of the damage from another storm. But again, every storm is different. A landfall in a slightly different location means a storm surge could be a little bit higher in a different spot that didn't necessarily flood during Katrina. And you're always watching the possibility of these storms. We're nearing the peak of hurricane season. That was good insight. Thank you for joining us, Eric. And a reminder, you can once again watch our K20, the storm that changed everything, special documentary coming up tonight at 6 on WLOX ABC, as we look at not only the storm's impacts, but the resilience and recovery to this point. Charities and nonprofit groups from across the coast stepping in during our time of need. We look back on some of those that helped South Mississippi build back after Katrina. After Hurricane Katrina, leaders from across the Gulf Coast and many volunteers stepped in quickly when the disaster struck, assisting recovery efforts as groups in South Mississippi responded to the destruction of the storm. One of those community leaders is joining us today with more on her memories and experiences on how coast communities stepped in to help one another. Here today with more, United Way of South Mississippi CEO Kathy Springer. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And it's kind of been the theme of the day, but can you believe it's been 20 years?
I cannot. You know, I don't get older, but time certainly passes. So
yeah. All right, so in your role today with United Way, how crucial is organizations like yours when disaster strikes like that? You know,
I think organizations like United Way or like the American Red Cross and some of these global organizations have a lot of depth on their bench. We get a lot of help from those organizations. You know, from United Way, we would get folks to come in to help us run our call center. We actually function as the call center for Harrison County's EOC during times of in the aftermath of a storm. So we've got a lot of depth that way, but also the boots on the ground from the locals and the faith-based and every organization is critical to the recovery.
Yeah. And volunteers, what does it say for what the volunteers did, and would we be where we are today without the help of so many volunteers who stayed for many years?
They stayed for many years, and they keep coming back, and they made a lot of personal connections and a lot of personal friendships that exist today. You know, when people give up their lives to come to a place maybe that they've never been before, to help us dig out and help us just with compassion and with a lot of love come here just to help us. They recognize that we need that help and they come help us. It's critical. It is very critical to have a strong bench and volunteers.
And when something like this happens, there's people out there who really literally lose everything. So they're looking for wherever they can get help, for someone to step up. And you and so many others like you, that's what you're sort of there for in that time of need. And what is that help that is most common that people look out for?
You know, we get calls, and thinking back on after Hurricane Zeta, someone would call and say, well, you know, I lost my fence, and then you have someone that call and say, well, the electrical panel's off my house, or I'm missing a wall, or I have no electricity for my O2 machine or something like that. So it's varying degrees of severity, but to have those boots on the ground, to be able to mobilize volunteers and resources, which many of the not-for-profits in our agency, in our footprint, are able to do, I think that's a beautiful thing. You know, one thing that came out of Hurricane Katrina was the establishment of the Night Nonprofit Center on Seaway Road. And that building had been built for the Grand Casino properties. And then United Way, the Coast Chamber, the Gulf Coast Community Foundation, and the Business Council were able to purchase that building and make that a hub for nonprofits. So we're in a better position now than we were back when Katrina came ashore, that a lot of us are under one roof.
Right, and that's just one of the many examples of the positives that have come out of the storm.
Correct. That building is such a success story, and we exist purely to serve. And you know, whenever we collaborate, and something else that came out of Katrina was the collaborative spirit of all of these local nonprofits. I know that I can pick up the phone and call a number of them, Catholic Charities, the Center for Nonviolence, every single day, Back Bay Mission, and we all call each other, we all collaborate. You know, it takes all of us to make that difference. And I think that spirit of collaboration was just strengthened after Katrina.
Yeah, the line of communication is certainly there, and it makes a big difference when it's needed. Kathy Springer with United Way, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Still ahead on the 4 o'clock show, South Mississippi artist helping restore the beautiful landscape of the coast following Hurricane Katrina. Next, a look at the beauty that came out of the devastation and destruction of the storm. Out of the devastation of Hurricane Katrina came not only stories of survival, but powerful expressions of hope and healing. From carved trees taking root in multiple cities along the coast to mosaics and quilts that piece together the past, Katrina's legacy lives on through art. Jennifer Lott shows us how beauty rose from the rubble.
Well, I think this project here represents you know, the willingness of Biloxi to come in after a storm and rebuild. And it's like they were dealt a bad deal with the surge that came in here and killed these trees, and you know, to sit there and turn them back into something else. You know, it's like if you're given lemons, make lemonade.
That's chainsaw artist Marlon Miller, nearly 20 years ago after he traveled to the Mississippi coast from Florida to carve these trees.
A lot of people thought I was kind of crazy, you know, because I'm like, you know, 20 feet in the air with a chainsaw and carving on wood. All these cars started coming in, people taking pictures and cars honking.
Lifeless trees left behind by Katrina's storm surge have become towering pieces of art, sentinels of survival, created by Miller and other artists, Dayton Scoggins and Dale Lewis.
We spent about 3 years on and off and added about 50 sculptures from, I guess, Pascagoula all the way to Waveland.
Miller made a trip back to the coast ahead of the 20th anniversary, this time bringing his grandchildren.
Really cool.
The trees have weathered over the years.
This is some of the varnish. You can see how shiny that was. They used to all just shine like this right here.
But their message lives on, a reminder of what we lost and what we still have.
It really feels like maybe I gave those old trees another breath of life.
Inside Waveland's Ground Zero Hurricane Museum, the story is stitched together in the Katrina Quilts exhibit. Every year, the museum draws around 5,000 visitors from across the world.
This is probably one of our most favorite rooms that our visitors come to see.
Artist Solveig Wells picked up the pieces, torn scraps left in Katrina's wake, parts of homes, clothing, memories, and turned them into 55 lap quilts now on display, a patchwork of grief and healing.
You can turn the quilt over, and in her handwriting, she says that it's her who made it, the date, and what is the theme behind that quilt. She talked about natural disasters, but she also then talked about hope and family and community. And that's kind of what this whole museum's about, that it's really more about resiliency and the sense of community that happens when everybody pulls together.
2 decades later, the art of Katrina continues to speak. In Pascagoula's Beach Park, a reminder of the beauty and danger of the waves. Mosaic waves ripple at the base of the bridge connecting Ocean Springs and Biloxi. Along the Bay St. Louis Bridge, shrimp boats are etched in the concrete. These works retell, reshape, and reclaim the story of the storm, reminding us that even when nature breaks us down, the human spirit can rebuild beautifully.
This was really tough. You know, we lost homes. People didn't come back, but community rallied. Where there's valleys, there's hills. Where there's destruction, there's rebirth.
The city of Long Beach holding its own special event today to honor the 20th anniversary of Katrina. The high school choir was there to put on a performance at City Hall. Mayor Tim Pierce spoke, as well as the past 2 mayors of the city shared their stories of that day 20 years ago. And commemoration ceremonies like that happening all across the coast. And we will continue the 4 o'clock show in just a moment.
Now, WLOX First Alert Weather with meteorologist Aaron Colby.
Well, good afternoon and welcome back to the 4 o'clock show. Out there right now, this is the IP Casino over in Biloxi. We do have those cloudy skies. Still a couple raindrops there on the camera. We also have that Labor Day traffic starting to pick up here as we head into Friday afternoon and evening. Now, out there at the Hancock Whitney Cameron Gulfport, still got those cloudy skies. A little bit drier over here at the moment. We're still watching just a few hit or miss showers as of right now, but that is keeping the temperatures much cooler as we go through these afternoon hours. It's currently 78 degrees at the Gulfport Airport. Southeast winds about 3 miles per hour, and you can see there, heat index feels like temperature right around 80 degrees, feeling a lot better than it has been the past several weeks. Now, going into the evening hours, we will be looking at temperatures falling right back into those mid, maybe even the lower 70s. A couple showers may start to develop as we head into very early tomorrow morning, but these will mainly be very close to the coast. We do have that disturbed weather pattern that will continue into the Labor Day weekend. That stationary front very slowly moving offshore, bringing a lot of showers and thunderstorm activity with it. Cold front up to the north could be another source of a few showers, mainly to our north, but since we're sandwiched right in between the two, we'll have to keep an eye out for those higher rain chances, especially as we go through tomorrow. Looking at the radar out in there, well, just a couple of those stray showers, mainly along that I-10 corridor at the moment. But let's look at futurecast going through the rest of tonight into tomorrow morning. Once again, that stationary front, as it slowly pulls a little bit further from the coast, that could become a source of some of those stronger thunderstorms. You can see there, futurecasts trying to produce some of them right on the coast. They are moving mostly to the south and the east, and most of the stronger ones do stay offshore beyond the islands as well. So if you do have plans to be out on the water in the Sound or even beyond the islands, just keep an eye out. You may be having to dodge some of that heavier rain, maybe a couple of thunderstorms out there. Going into tomorrow afternoon, this is going to be about midday tomorrow. We can see mostly dry across the area, still very cloudy, couple hit or miss showers, very similar to what we see out there right now. But going into the evening hours, well, maybe catching at least a couple more showers, maybe a storm or two, as the stationary front still nearby, the cold fronts just to our north as well. So overall, Labor Day weekend looking pretty good for outdoor plans. Keep the umbrellas nearby. The good news is that temperatures will stay low. We're going to keep that cloud cover, and we're going to keep those hit or miss showers. In the afternoon, most of us will be in about those mid 80s. Some of us maybe even a little bit lower if you do get a shower or keep the cloud cover for a little bit longer. Out in the tropics, only one area we're watching at the moment. Very low chance of development. Tropical wave expected to move off the coast of Africa here over the weekend. If this does become a concern for the U.S., well, that's 10 to 15 days away, so no real concerns there. And once again, low chance of development over the next about 7 days, so not really a concern at all at the moment. 7-day forecast, a little rainy as we head into the weekend, but things should start to dry up by about Sunday or Monday.
Labor Day is just a few days away, and Jackson County is celebrating in a big way. The Jackson County Democratic Committee honoring the strength and solidarity of Mississippi's working families. Joining us today with more, Executive Committee member Richard Jackson, along with the president of the South Mississippi Central Labor Council, Cami Carr. Thanks for coming in with us. So Labor Day is a celebration of workers, and how are you doing that?
So we've got some in the Eddie Kayat 2nd Street Park. It's a pretty decent sized park. We've got some of our friends and family coming out. We're going to have some free food and rally together and make a better labor for tomorrow.
Yeah, people kind of lose sight of this holiday, what it's all about. Why is it important to honor and remember the workers and labor on this day?
Because so many people have gone out and they've sacrificed for many of the freedoms that we have in this country. And right now, with most of the policies that are being implemented by the current administration, it affects every American, no matter your gender, no matter your nationality, throughout this country.
So here with this get together on Monday, what are you hoping a message that you're wanting to get out as far as bringing awareness to some of the messages?
So labor has always driven the country. We have big voices and we need to be heard. And the things that have happened in the past with the way labor is treated is, not how it's going to be tomorrow. We're ready to make working a livable wage and be able to enjoy ourselves and still be able to work.
And you have several speakers that are going to be there taking part, including some state lawmakers, and that's a chance for people to get out and meet personally with the people that represent them.
Correct. We're going to have from right there in Gulfport, Representative Jeffrey Helms, who's a dynamic speaker, as well as Jeremy Anderson, who's our House of Representatives speaker from Moss Point, Mississippi, along with a litany of other speakers from 10:30 on Monday to 3:30 in the afternoon. And our theme of the day is Power and Unity, where we're looking to bring everybody from all walks of life out there on Monday.
So it's a chance to get together and have a good time. And is this the first time you've been doing this, or has this been ongoing?
So we did have one last year in Gaucher, and it was very successful, and we're trying to cover multiple areas across the coast, so I'm hoping Moss Point's going to do the same thing for us.
Yeah, and like you talked about it, a nice spot there in the park. Let's take a look at the information for this event coming up on Monday. It's at Kayak Park in Moss Point on 2nd Street. From 10:30 a.m. till 3:30. As the best part, it looks like free food and refreshments, family-friendly event, and a good opportunity also to talk about the issues facing our local community and the nation. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. Still ahead on the 4 o'clock show, more on the commemoration ceremonies happening today as South Mississippi remembers the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And food insecurity runs deep in Mississippi, with many residents living in poverty. See how one group in Lumberton is hoping to combat the issue. And it's time for football season here in South Mississippi. Matt DeGregorio joins us next with a preview of tonight's Friday night action, as well as all the college games coming up tomorrow. Football season is here tonight. The WLOX Friday Night Football Showdown gets underway. You can watch it all at 10:15. And for more on tonight's show and tomorrow's big opening slate of college football games, here is Matt DeGregorio here in the kitchen. And we're going to be talking about this food that we have here in just a little bit. Of course, with football, you have to have food.
Absolutely.
But hey, let's get into the games tonight. The high school football season all gets going. What's the game you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, the game of the week this year, we've implemented it for the 25th rendition of the Friday Night Football Showdown, Hugh, and it is Gulfport and Picayune. We now have a top 10 ranking system this year, and we have Gulfport currently slated as the number 5 team right now on the coast. Picayune currently the number 2 team. Both teams completely loaded. Their defensive fronts, not just the best here on the coast, 2 of the best in the entire state of Mississippi. Some are saying even the region, including Alabama and Louisiana as well, Hugh. Gulfport really excited about their young front. Picayune's front obviously has a Vanderbilt kid on there, has a future Alabama star on there as well.
Yeah, and this is a new thing you're doing this year, the WLOX Top 10.
Yep.
So it's a chance for everybody to get involved. And if you don't like where you are in the rankings, hey, let us know and prove it on the field.
Absolutely. You got to prove it on the field. That's the biggest thing out there, right? We have a lot of very knowledgeable people who are voting on this. We had those top 4 teams that you see there, Ocean Springs, Picayune, Pascagoula, Poplarville, all received first place votes. We also had 4 other teams who you don't see currently in the top 10 who received votes as well. But for the most part, it was between 14 teams to get those 10 spots.
Hey, it's going to be some great games tonight. you talked about. Where are you going?
I am heading up to Poplarville for the third straight day. I'm going to go see the reigning defending state champions from 4A, the Poplarville Hornets. They're going to face the newest 7A team in the state. That is West Harrison. Then I'm going to head down to Pearl River Central, and they're going to host Bay. Catlin French, the former Biloxi head coach, he's going to be coming in the fold there with Bay as well. So an exciting two matchups, two really newer matchups that we haven't seen in the past.
Yeah, and also some rivalry games to get the season started. Big one in Jackson County. It's a historical rival between Pascagoula and Moss Point. Pascagoula is kind of on the day lately, I guess, and also Pass Christian meeting Long Beach. I think they call that the Oyster Bowl.
Yeah, the Oyster Bowl. Yeah, our newest addition. Nigel Whittington, who's going to join me right alongside on the Friday Night Football Showdown tonight. He's going to be heading out to the Cat Bowl, I like to call it, the Battle of the Cats between Moss Point and Pascagoula. I mean, Pascagoula on the field on paper should win that game by a lot, but you never know because of how intense that rivalry is.
All right, let's get into the college action tomorrow. It all gets going with an in-state rivalry renewed.
Yes.
Mississippi State at Southern Miss. Yes. Big opportunity for the Golden Eagles after both teams had a horrendous season last year.
Couldn't have been worse.
It's very important for these teams to get off to a good start and just turn things around after last
Absolutely,
season.
Hugh. I saw these two teams play a couple years ago up in Starkville. Mississippi State, it really kind of took the reins in the second half, but that was a much better Mississippi State team than we are currently seeing right now. Southern Miss has all of the stuff to gain here. There's nothing really that Mississippi State can gain from this matchup. Southern Miss is a team that I really think has an opportunity to win this game. They bring in the conference preseason player of the year in Braylon Braxton. They bring in the reigning conference coach of the year in Charles Huff. Both guys won the Sun Belt title a year ago. They also have a slew, 20 plus other players from that Marshall team that won it all a year ago. Their experience, there's guys from that state team from a couple seasons ago who have now transferred into the Golden Eagles program. I really like the Golden Eagles tomorrow.
And if Southern Miss wins, that'll just really make the life for Golden Eagles.
1988 is the last time they did it.
Yeah, a long time ago, and they get up for these games, rare games against the in-state schools. And Matt, you said it, you called it. Southern Miss wins tomorrow, so we'll see how it plays out. For Ole Miss, the Rebels opening the season with Georgia State. Ole Miss, a big favorite there. We're looking for a lot of newcomers there. We'll see how they fit into things at Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's the recent thing, right? For Lane Kiffin, you see how these new guys will interact together on the field for the first time.
And on the WLOX ABC, every single Saturday, we will have a triple header of SEC football every Saturday. You can't really beat it. And tomorrow, we get things going with LSU at Clemson, the Battle of Death Valley.
I know, and there's so many LSU fans who are watching this right now who should be worried about this game because LSU has struggled mightily in opening games since Brian Kelly has taken over. Obviously, those battles with Florida State were not easy. Then last year, they dropped another game. And now this year, you got Clemson. You got the opportunity to go on the road and really cement yourself as one of the top teams in the nation if you're LSU. LSU's experience. They bring back Harold Perkins. They bring back Garrett Nussmeier. They have a team, Caleb Durham in the backfield. There's so many guys. That offensive line that has been stable the last couple of years for LSU, that is the biggest question mark, and we'll see. What can Garrett Nussmeier do if there's pressure?
All right, high expectations for LSU, and you can see the Tigers tomorrow night right here on WLOX ABC, along with games throughout the day on ABC and CBS. You see the food in front of us? We have some guests from Rouse's. They'll be talking about your tailgating spread next. It's time for football, and that means it's time to start thinking of what you'll have to eat at your tailgate party.
Joining us today with more of the variety options you can find at Rouse's Market, Robert Strahan and Ken Hurlbert. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Good. Great.
You've got a lot of food here to show off. It just wouldn't be football season unless you've got the football style food and the tailgating options. So if you're going to the game at Southern Miss tomorrow, you can stop by Rouse's. You better do it pretty soon though to make sure you can pick up. I guess you'll be open in the morning pick up. And these are some of the things that you can get before you go to the game.
That's right. Yes.
All right. What did you bring for us?
We got a muffalata tray here. Of course, when you go to the game, you need some chicken wings there. Your sandwich trays that just fit any kind of party you got. Egg rolls, jambalas, charcuterie boards, fruit trays, and then your chips and dips. Just a few samples of what we have to offer at Rouse's and all.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite things when I go to games that I'm not covering, I mean, I love to go out and grill. Like you guys obviously have a lot of options there. What are some of the things that customers can come in, maybe buy, purchase if they want to maybe go a different route from catering and come in and buy for you guys?
We got pork ribs and everything. We actually got the grill going at the store today with the pork ribs. We got your whole setup and everything.
That's awesome.
And I mentioned the college games, but also you can get a tailgating spread before high school. I know, Matt, you'll see a lot of people
Absolutely.
out there.
Yeah, they get the girls going out
That's
there
right.
as well.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Well, what's your favorite food as far as you brought a variety here? The jambalaya is also good just to take and get ready. If you're just watching the games at home, you have a big plate of that for a party. And what's your favorite thing?
I just like a little sample of everything, I
Yeah.
guess. You know, it's all great. So, like I said, we got it covered for you and all.
And looking at some of the catering options that you guys have, like if somebody who might not want to cook that day, how do they go about that? Do they have to schedule that with you? Do they give you guys a call?
Yes, we got the order forms right here. You can come in the store and pick up one. You can call the store and just order off the phone. However you like to do it, we just say for your convenience. And all.
Do you know when it's football season? Can you tell? Is there a pickup in business?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. The party, we call it Party Central in our deli, and it just picks up this time of year.
Yeah, it will.
Now I'm curious about the desserts because I mean that's always a big thing too. You guys, I went into Rouse's actually a couple days ago. I saw you guys had like some football themed cookie cakes in
Yes,
there.
yes.
What are some of the other options?
We always got our Gentilly cakes, and what's some of our desserts you would say, Ken?
Oh man, Gentilly cupcakes and stuff is the best, probably the best option.
That's
for
the
you and stuff
go-to?
like that. The cookies, gourmet cookies, and honestly, that's on the trays that we offer too. You know? And what's great about it is that other than the jambalaya, all this is available throughout the day. Okay?
That's awesome.
So you can come in here and you get a muffalata tray, the wing tray, sandwich tray, egg rolls, the charcuterie board, the spinach artichoke dipped fruit trays. Those are out and ready.
It's all good to go. And
so
of
if
course,
you look
you
for
have,
a last minute thing, you can come in and grab it.
yeah, you have the new Rouse's location in Biloxi as well. That's been up. Have you heard how business is going over there?
Yeah, doing real well.
Yeah, okay,
Yes,
good.
Yes.
All right, well, thanks for joining us from Rouse's, and that's a look at your tailgating options for game day, either tomorrow or throughout the season. There's the hours of operations, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. every single day of the week. Is that operations across the coast at every store?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, we'll go to see you, and we're looking forward to chowing down during football season. Thanks for joining us from Rouse's.
Thank you.
Food insecurity runs deep in Mississippi, with many residents living in poverty. Just ahead, see how one group in Lumberton is hoping to combat the issue. Mississippi has one of the highest food insecurity rates in the country. Nearly 1 in 5 people in the state lack reliable access to food, a problem one small city is taking steps to address. Alexa Hatton with the Roy Howard Community Journalism Center explains how a new food pantry in Lumberton aims to fill the gap.
Food insecurity runs deep in Mississippi. In Lumberton, where about 4 in 10 people live in poverty, it's especially clear. With no public transportation, getting to the nearest food bank can be a challenge.
There's no city bus, so if they're hungry, they're just hungry unless somebody takes pity on them or one of the churches locally where they can walk.
Resident Melody Langley says local churches help when they can, hosting a giveaway each month. The next closest option is about 20 minutes away in Poplarville. For Estina Holder, the lack of access was personal.
I am from Lumberton, and it has like a homeless population here, a lot of seniors that need food.
Holder founded the nonprofit Roof Above Resilience last year. Now, she's leading the effort to open the city's first food pantry early next year.
Hopefully we can do it twice a month as a start off, and then when we see the need to increase, we can look at more days to open it up.
Local churches like Bass Memorial Seventh-day Adventist already serves hundreds of people each month. But volunteer Pat Lee says a dedicated pantry will help reach even more.
We'll be glad to have their help, and we'll know that even more are getting nutrition that they need.
To lunch, Roof Above Resilience is raising $10,000 through a campaign called Nourish Our Neighbors. The money will go towards food, shelving, and storage equipment. Holder says the pantry is just the beginning.
My dream is to expand once we get the pantry up and running.
She hopes it will grow into a staple for the community and eventually expand to youth and mental health programs. Reporting for the Roy Howard Community Journalism Center, I'm Alexa Hatton.
And the pantry is still finalizing its location, but is expected to open in early 2026. Holder, who you heard from there in the story, says they plan to apply to be a part of the Mississippi Food Network as soon as they can to help bring more resources to the area. One Gulf Coast community coming together today for fellowship as they remember the power and healing and helping. More on today's ceremonies in Waveland next. This Katrina anniversary in Waveland beginning this morning with a sunrise service at Gulfside Assembly. The Steps Coalition organized this remembrance as Raylan Ladner shows us the message focused on the power of healing together.
Hearing in my soul and my spirit
the knocking on the roof to get out. You know, like it was horrendous. It was horrendous.
That's how Alicia Johnson Perry remembers the day 20 years ago when Katrina tore through the coast.
I was in my 30s, you know, young 30s, and had just purchased a house as a single woman. And was so excited. I just painted it up and all the things. You know, it hadn't even been a year when Katrina hit and wiped it out.
She joined dozens of others at the Gulfside Assembly Retreat Center for a sunrise service, honoring the lives lost and recognizing the strength it took to rebuild.
But we're recognizing the people, the victims, the survivors. First of all, we're honoring those who did lose their lives, but we're also recognizing the survivors who persevered.
This morning's service is just one small component of a full day of commemoration with workshops, food, and music planned throughout the afternoon. Organizers say it's more than just looking back at the storm. It's about celebrating how far Waveland has come since August 29th, 2005.
Our theme today is release. Release the pain, but keep the wisdom.
For many survivors, that wisdom is rooted in community.
For people that live here, just being able to talk about it and heal and have people listen to your stories, I think that's really important.
It brings people together, and that's something that we need to hold on to. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic background you're a part of. It doesn't matter what religion. All religions were represented here today, which was awesome.
And 2 decades later, scars of Katrina remain, but strength and spirit carry this community forward. In Waveland, Raylan Ladner, WLOX News Now.
The Ground Zero Hurricane Museum in Waveland also holding its 20th anniversary Katrina event earlier today. Special guest speaker Brian Adam, known locally as Hootie, announced his retirement as director for the Hancock County Emergency Management Agency. He said he's stayed and worked every major storm, and this will be his last hurricane season. During Katrina 20 years ago, Adam thought he may not make it through the storm. He's looking forward to now spending more time with his family in December. This year he will officially retire, and that is a retirement much deserved. Thank you for joining us here on the 4 o'clock show today. The news continues in a moment at 5.